Now we'll be learning about nutrition in amoeba. This amoeba is a small single-cell organism and it follows the Holozoic mode of nutrition. Now what happens? Suppose this is the amoeba. It is having a single cell. Now here is a food particle. Coming in contact with the food particle, the amoeba extends its finger-like processions. And what will happen? The amoeba will finally be able to engulf the food particle and a food vacuole will be formed. This is the food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, the digestive enzymes will be released. And these digestive enzymes will break the complex food particle into simpler forms. And finally, the food will be digested inside the food vacuole. Now, due to these metabolic activities, the excretory products will be formed. And these excretory products will simply diffuse out from the surface of amoeba's body. This is the amoeba's body surface. And from here, the excretory product will be released outside the body. Now, these Holozoic organisms can be further divided into three types. First are the herbivores that mainly eat the green plants. Second are the carnivores that mainly eats the animals or animal materials. And the last are the omnivores that they can feed both on the plant material and also on the animal materials. Okay, the next mode of nutrition is the saprophytic mode of nutrition. These generally feed on the dead and decaying parts of the organisms. Now, these saprophytes that are basically some bacteria or fungi, they mainly help in the maintenance of the ecological balance. We will be learning in food web and in food chain. These are the two important processes that helps in the maintenance of ecological balance. And in these two processes, an important role is played by this saprophytic organisms. Now, you must have seen on a stale piece of bread some fur-like white growth. You can see, observe it after 10 or 12 days. What are these? These are the fungi called as the rhizopus. Rhizopus are also called as the bread molds. When you will observe these bread molds inside the microscope, you will see this like structure. This is the lobe and these are the filaments. Now, these bread molds utilize the stale piece of bread to derive their nutrition. That is, a stale piece of bread is mainly you can say it is decaying. So, these saprophytes or these bread molds observe their nutrition from that stale piece of bread. Now, parasitic mode of nutrition. This parasitic mode of nutrition involves the host and the parasite. The parasite generally depends upon the host for its nutrition and it harms the host. The parasite is dependent on the host, it derives its nutrition from the host, and after deriving its nutrition, it leaves the host very weak and feeble, or you can say it generally harms the host. Examples are the louse that grows on hairs, and also in the human intestine, some tapeworms are present, and these tapeworms also act as a parasite. So, from time to time, it is advised to deworm your body so that the number of these parasites should not increase beyond the average level, else you will certainly have some intestinal problems. So, this was about the parasitic mode of nutrition. Now, we'll be learning about the nutrition in human beings. Now, we eat a variety of food And for the digestion of these variety of food, a complex digestive system has been developed inside we humans. Now, the alimentary canal, that is the main canal that is involved in this process of digestion. It starts from the mouth and it ends up inside the anus. Now, along with the alimentary canal, another important glands called as the accessory glands are involved in this process of digestion in humans. Okay, this is the structure of human alimentary canal. Now it is starting from the mouth and it is ending from the anus. We also have the salivary glands. Now this is a tube called as the esophagus, which is opening into the bag-like structure called as the stomach. The stomach is opening into the small intestine, and the small intestine is also connected to the large intestine, which is finally connected to the rectum and the anus. We'll be discussing about all the parts of this human alimentary canal one by one. Now, parts of the alimentary canal and its functions. First is the mouth. Now, mouth, the food that we eat enters through our mouth, and inside our mouth we have teeth. Humans have basically 4 types of teeth, that are incisors, canines, premolars and molars. What is the main function of the teeth? The main function is to churn or to break down these food particles into small bits. Now, we also have the tongue present inside our mouth. What these tongue do? These tongues have the receptors present in them. Now, whenever you eat some food, you can easily make out that whether it is sweet or salty or bitter. This is because of the receptors present on the tongue. Okay, and this tongue also allows the rolling or turning of the food, and the saliva also gets mixed up due to this tongue present. Next, we have the pharynx. These pharynx allows the swallowing of the food, and we have an important structure called epiglottis present. Now, this epiglottis is a flap-like structure. What happens when we take in the food? There is a single common passage, and this food must enter inside the stomach, and it should not go inside the lungs. And this is taken care by this epiglottis. It closes during our intake of food so that the lungs are safe. Okay. Next are the esophagus. Now, as you can see, these are the tube that connects the mouth and the stomach. And how does the food from the mouth enters inside the stomach? It is by this process of peristalsis. It is a cellular movement that allows this movement of food. Okay. Next are the stomachs. These stomachs are a bag-like structure, muscular bag-like structures, and its wall release HCl, that is hydrochloric acid. Now, for the digestion of food, acidic medium is required because the food material is complex, and these acids helps in the breakdown of this complex food material. Okay, and this acid also kills the germ that is present inside the food. Okay, now this acid medium is also harmful for the walls of the stomach. In order to protect these walls, the mucus is secreted, and this mucus secretion prevents the damage caused by the acid to the walls. Now, an acidic medium is also required for the enzymatic actions. You know these enzymes are highly specific in their actions. They act only under certain set of conditions, and that is a requirement of acidic medium is necessary. This is taken care by this HCl. Okay. Now we'll be learning about the small intestine. These are the tubular structures with a narrow lumen, and here the digestive enzymes get mixed inside the food that comes from the stomach. Now these small intestines also have villi, or you can also see microvilli. These structures help in the absorption of food inside the small intestine. Okay. Along with the alimentary canal paths, we also have the important accessory glands. First is the salivary gland. The salivary gland secretes the saliva. And what is the function of saliva? It generally moistens the food or it makes them liquid. So, you must have felt that this dry food is a bit complex to digest, while the liquid food are easily digested. This is because of the saliva. And you might have also felt a bolus or round like structure is formed when you chew the food. This round structure is called as the bolus. Now, the saliva secretes an important enzyme called as the salivary amylase. The salivary amylase acts on the starch and converts them into sucrose and maltose. These are the two important sugars. Now the liver. The liver secretes the bile, and this bile is stored in the gallbladder. Now, this bile acts on fat, and this process is called as the emulsification of fat. Now, last is the pancreas. This pancreas secretes the digestive juices. Now, the secretions of the pancreas are trypsin. This trypsin acts on the proteins, and we have lipases. These lipases acts on lipids. As the name suggests, lipids derived from lipids, and ases means that breaking down. These breaking down of lipids is caused by this lipases. Now we'll be learning about another important life process, that is respiration. What is respiration? It is the process by which living organisms produce energy by taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. Now, this process of respiration involves two major steps. First is the breaking down of glucose into pyruvate. Glucose is a 6-carbon molecule, and it gets break down into a 3-carbon molecule, that is the pyruvate. Now, further, this pyruvate gets break down into another simple molecules. Now, this respiration is mainly of two types. First is the aerobic respiration, and second is the anaerobic respiration. So, this anaerobic respiration takes place inside the cytoplasm of the cell, while this aerobic takes place inside the mitochondria of the cell. Anaerobic, as the name suggests, in the absence of air. It takes place in the absence of air and oxygen is not required, while aerobic respiration requires oxygen. Okay. Another important point is that the release of energy is lesser in case of anaerobic organisms, while the energy released is higher in case of aerobic mode of respiration. Now, about the end products. We have seen that pyruvic acid is formed after the breaking down of glucose. How this pyruvic acid is again broken down into different kind of simple compounds depend upon the type of the cell. In the yeast cell, from the pyruvate, ethyl alcohol, that is C2H5OH, that is mainly a 2-carbon compound, plus carbon dioxide and energy is released in case of anaerobic respiration, while in case of muscle cell, this pyruvate breaks down into lactic acid and energy. Now, this lactic acid is a 2-carbon molecule. You must have observed pain in the muscles when you do running at a high speed. This is because of the deposition of lactic acid due to the taking of respiration by anaerobic mode. Now, similarly, the end products of aerobic respiration are carbon dioxide, water and energy, and this energy released during aerobic respiration is much higher as compared to the anaerobic mode of respiration.